Chapter 41 Player's Investigation into Ding Ling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As Ding Ling's fame grows, his ranking on the rankings gets higher and higher. Many of his past were uncovered by some experts, and in order to find out the secret of Ding Ling's rapid growth, some real rich second and first generations even hired mercenaries to go to the city where Ding Ling was to look for Ding Ling. Of course, the results were not satisfactory. Ding Ling chose the time and place to hide very well. In a short period of time, there is no need to worry about being found. Even if he was really found, Ding Ling could hide deep in the mountains and hide for a while. Gaming helmets don't need to be connected to the internet at all, which is one of Ding Ling's confidence. If the helmet needs to be connected to the internet, it will definitely be troublesome, but luckily not. Ding Ling cannot be found offline at the moment. These rich first generation and rich second generation want to find online, but Ding Ling's status and strength in the Three Kingdoms world are already extraordinary. Even if they really find him, they can't do anything to him, unless their strength or power can suppress Ding Ling. But at least for now, this is not possible. They then set up camp in the Players' Plaza, and Ding Ling came and went in a hurry, and their move didn't work. However, it increases with the number and time of squatting. The news they learned about Ding Ling was constantly changing. Ding Ling defeated Zhu Yi in full view of everyone. Ding Ling can be called the Almighty King. He defeated Jizhou celebrities Tian Feng, Zhu Shou and others, and made all the celebrities convinced, even at all costs. Ding Ling was promoted. He became a Tiger General. Ding Ling seems to be at odds with the governor of Changshan County. Ding Ling is decisive in killing. Some players said that he was killed twice by Ding Ling near Changshan County. The level of a skill dropped from level 2 to level 0. A month of hard work has returned to the starting point again, point one by one by one. Very impactful. Many mercenaries were shocked. I can't believe there are such people in this world. After they confirmed this 3 times, they still felt that it was really incredible. So, they went to Yecheng, Jizhou one by one, and investigated secretly for several days. But the results were more shocking than the rumors. Han Fu kept the chess records of Ding Ling and Sun Chen, and he couldn't help but study them while eating. Tian Feng Jusho always praises Ding Ling highly when meeting everyone. Han Feng is even more proud of being able to discover a talented person like Ding Ling, that the mercenaries' jaws almost dropped to the ground in shock. A newcomer. How can he be so powerful? Could it be that he is really a descendant of a hidden family? They were confused. Give all the details you uncovered to your employer. After the employer learned about it, he instinctively felt that the information was false, and got furious about it. But then every mercenary, detective, and player said the same thing. Even if they don't believe it, they have to believe it. Is there really such an all-powerful person in this world? He doesn't know anything, but he is so proficient. He loses all the celebrities in a row. How old is Ding Ling? Even if he started studying in his previous life, he wouldn't be so awesome, right? The employer was stunned. One by one, they began to dig into the details of Ding Ling's past, trying to find clues that Ding Ling was the inheritor of the hidden family. How could a mediocre family produce such a genius? There must be a pair of unknown and terrifying black hands hidden behind the scenes. It is these black hands that control all of this. It was she, who perfectly covered all traces of Ding Ling. Make him look so ordinary. If it hadn't been for the birth of the mythical game, Ding Ling, the inheritor, might have remained hidden in the vast mortal world, unknown to anyone. It's so scary. As expected of a hidden family. Only the legendary hidden family has this kind of energy. Remember, don't make a big splash to investigate, so as not to anger the big shots behind Ding Ling. Then we will be in trouble. But the head of the family. I think Ding Ling may be an ordinary person. Because according to my investigation, Ding Ling has been there since he was a child, from his birth certificate to his school certificate, as well as various classmates and colleagues. All prove that Ding Ling just ordinary people. Some people refuted and objected. The head of the family side. That's why I feel so terrible. It was done so perfectly, and even though we knew something was wrong, we still couldn't find out the slightest clue. This method is really outrageous. Be careful. Don't offend anyone. The person behind Ding Ling. What the head of the family said is absolutely true. Don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the worst. Be careful and sail the ship that lasts 10,000 years. That's right. Regardless of whether there is a big shot behind Ding Ling or not, be careful. If there is, won't our family, which has been passed down for thousands of years, be destroyed in one fell swoop? This is not something we can accept, that with the help of Ding Ling's medical full-level skill, a few days of recuperation, Zhao Feng has almost recovered. Without any worries, Zhao Xiaoyu immediately took Ding Ling to Penglai Mountain. The name of Penglai Mountain sounds very fairy, but in fact it is an unknown mountain hidden in Changshan County. This place is 30 or 40 miles away from Zhejiang. It was a difficult trek all the way through mountainous roads. Halfway through, because the road was too rough, Ding Ling had no choice but to dismount and lead the strong horse on the road. He walked like this for several hours. Only then did we arrive at the foot of Penglai Mountain. Here we are. Ding Ling finally saw many players. Hey! Look, does that person look like Ding Ling? Some players also noticed Ding Ling, pointed at Ding Ling, and whispered. I didn't expect that he would come to Penglai Mountain. Is he here to learn from a master? We were assigned to learn from here from the beginning, so we have never left the deep mountains and old forests. It's different for people from the outside world to come to Penglai Mountain. They must pass the assessment, otherwise they can only return empty-handed. Ding Ling understood and smiled slightly. He didn't need the assessment, because Zhao Xiaoyu was an acquaintance in Penglai Mountain. Ding Ling handed the letter to Zhao Xiaoyu and asked her to help pass it to Tong Yuan. Zhao Xiaoyu nodded heavily and went up the mountain with the letter with a look of joy. It was a very happy thing for her to be able to help Ding Ling. After a few days with Ding Ling's omnipotent and invincible image had penetrated into Zhao Xiaoyu's heart, making her admire and be obsessed with him. After a moment, Zhao Xiaoyu came down the mountain with a handsome man who was 8 feet tall. Second brother, he is Ding Ling. Zhao Xiaoyu pointed at Ding Ling and said crisply. The handsome man's eyes lit up slightly, and he walked quickly to Ding Ling. Without saying a word, he bowed to Ding Ling. My benefactor, please accept Zhao Yun's greetings. Zhao Yun. Ding Ling's pupils shrank slightly, and he couldn't help but look Zhao Yun up and down. As expected, he was full of heroic spirit, strong and handsome. Chapter 42 Gun Prodigy Tong Yuan. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The first meeting between Zhao Yun and Ding Ling was very pleasant. Both parties are polite, neither humble nor overbearing, and they both have a good impression of each other. Therefore, after the initial run-in, the two soon started talking and laughing. This scene fell into the eyes of the players, and it can be said that their outlook was almost shattered. They can't figure it out. Why did Ding Ling become so familiar with Zhao Zilong, whom they tried their best to curry favor with just after he arrived? It's so irritating to compare people to each other, that they sigh. How much effort did we put in? In the end, we can only get some favor from Zhao Zilong. What about Ding Ling? This guy is indeed the humanoid ferocious beast that others call him. It's so scary, especially after seeing that Ding Ling didn't take the exam and just started. They were so shocked that they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Ding Ling followed Zhao Zilong and others up the mountain, met Tong Yuan. There are some bamboo buildings scattered on the mountain. Tong Yuan lived in the bamboo building in the middle. He is practicing with his gun. Ding Ling, Zhao Zilong, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Zhao Bingxian stood aside and waited. A long while, Tong Yuan stopped and turned around to look at Ding Ling. It was at this time that Ding Ling really saw Tong Yuan's appearance and figure clearly, ancient and clumsy like a cypress tree reaching the sky, as powerful as a wild horse parting its mane. With gray beard and hair and rosy face, he looks like an old immortal who came from the clouds. When standing with a spear in hand, he looks like a spear god standing among the mountains and forests. This is a peerless master of martial arts and spiritual knowledge. Ding Ling hurriedly saluted him. Tong Yuan waved his hand and said loudly. I don't care about vulgar etiquette here. You don't have to do this anymore. He asked Ding Ling to come closer and asked Ding Ling to stretch out his hand. He wanted to touch his bones to see Ding Ling's qualifications. Ding Ling did not refuse. A long time, Tong Yuan let go of his hand, but his face was full of confusion. According to what Pan Feng said, you are extremely talented and can be called a son of the times. But why are your bones so common? Ding Ling was speechless and could only say that he didn't know. This is really counterintuitive. Tong Yuan stroked his beard and stared at Ding Ling with piercing eyes, as if he wanted to see through Ding Ling. I know Pan Feng is a person. He is definitely not a person who talks freely. He will praise you so much in his letters and ask me to teach you breathing techniques and marksmanship. Since I have a good relationship with him, I can agree. Ding Ling looked happy. Don't be too happy too early. Tong Yuan smiled and said. I'll start with the ugly words. If you can't master the martial arts I taught you, I won't let you go down the mountain. Unless you are willing. He pointed to the players at the foot of the mountain. Like them, start learning from Zhuang Gong. No problem. Ding Ling activated her full-level acting skills and said with confidence. I will definitely learn the breathing techniques and marksmanship taught by my seniors. Quite confident. Tong Yuan laughed dumbly. But often the more confident you are, the greater the blow you will receive. I hope you can hold on in the next period of time. Don't give up easily. Ding Ling naturally responded. Zhao Yun looked on without speaking. When Tong Yuan asked Ding Ling to come to him again tomorrow, Zhao Yun pulled Ding Ling aside and said. Ding Ling, although the master is easy to talk to, he is extremely strict when teaching. You have to be mentally prepared. Because of Ding Ling's request, Zhao Yun changed his name to Ding Ling and stopped referring to his benefactor. Don't worry. I know the severity. Also, I want to remind you a few words. You say. Master's special skill, the spiritual phoenix breathing technique is really difficult. I have been practicing for a long time, and I still can't reach the transformation state. And the master's special skill 100 birds Chow Phoenix Spear, is also very difficult. Although I have practiced it to perfection state. But it took a lot of hard work to learn this technique. Zhao Yun was very devoted to Ding Ling. Everything is said in detail. Ding Ling knew what Zhao Yun meant and nodded from time to time to show that he would pay attention. Zhao Xiaoyu also interjected from time to time and said a few words. The old master said that my second brother's talent is rare in ancient and modern times. But even so, my second brother has been learning breathing techniques and marksmanship for more than 10 years. So far, he has not mastered it enough to become instinctive. This shows how difficult this skill is. She paused, comforted Ding Ling and said. Master is only very strict when teaching Kung Fu. He is usually very talkative. Don't mind it too much. Study hard and I believe you will succeed. That it's obvious, including Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Yun, no one believed that Ding Ling could learn Tong Yuan's special skills in a short period of time, except Zhao Bingxian. She stayed in Yecheng, but they are very aware of Ding Ling's terrifying record. He almost blindly worships Ding Ling. The next day, Zhao Yun took Ding Ling, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Zhao Bingxian who had finished breakfast to visit Tong Yuan, still in front of the bamboo building. This time, Tong Yuan seemed to be practicing a special kind of practice. He sat cross-legged on a bamboo, light and airy, as if he would fly away at any moment. Every breath, white air spurted out from his nostrils. Ding Ling was shocked. Zhao Yun explained in a low voice. This is the external manifestation of the spiritual phoenix breathing technique reaching the state of transformation. This is amazing. Ding Ling was shocked. Although he had seen many martial arts and fairy movies, that it was still far less shocking than what he saw in reality. Besides, this is the world of the Three Kingdoms. Not the world of martial arts. Yes. Master, his martial arts are superb, and I don't know when I can reach his level. Zhao Yun was very envious. Tong Yuan exhaled a breath of turbid air, and suddenly stretched his body, leaped more than 10 meters in the air, and floated in front of Ding Ling like a gust of wind. Creak. The bamboo he was sitting on made a creaking sound, bounced a few times, and became straight as a sword again. show me your spear skills. Tong Yuan's eyebrows were like swords, and his eyes were like lightning as he looked at Ding Ling. Obviously at this moment, he had entered the teaching state, although it came very suddenly. Ding Ling was well prepared with Zhao Yun's reminder, and immediately shook a long spear when he heard it. This long spear was lent to Ding Ling by Zhao Yun. Ding Ling only brought a halberd up the mountain, no spear, and Tong Yuan, as Zhao Yun said, would ask him to show his spear skills. Ding Ling was not vague. The high-level spear skills pierced 5 star points in the void like starlight shining in the sky, and the energy pierced the air, causing small whirlwinds on the spot. After a while, Ding Ling put away the spear and stood, bowing to Tong Yuan. Tong Yuan nodded, his tense face relaxed a little, and stroked his beard and affirmed. You have a good foundation in spear skills. It seems that you can skip the basic stage directly. Next, I will teach you a set of spirit snake spear skills. This is a set of real martial arts above the high-level spear skills. Watch it. Chapter 43. Zhao Yun is shocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sonorous. Clang, clang, clang. Tong Yuan directly used a wooden stick as a gun, and while pointing out the essence of the spirit snake marksmanship from time to time, he also personally demonstrated and practiced the various mysteries of the spirit snake marksmanship. It's obviously just a rotten dead tree. But in his hand, it turned into a magical ruler that seemed to be able to measure the heaven and earth, and a giant python that seemed to be able to choose people and devour them. At the extreme point, waves are made out of thin air, but a dead tree creates a wonderful and thrilling feeling of thousands of snakes dancing. Call. Tong Yuan took a long breath, put away the dead wood, and looked at Ding Ling. How does it feel, that he practiced the complete version of the spirit snake marksmanship? If you find it too difficult, I can explain and practice separately. Learn each move one by one until you understand it thoroughly. That he pointed at Zhao Zilong and said. Zhao Yun is the most proud disciple of my life. It took a long time for him to learn the spirit snake spear technique. It took him 3 years to reach perfection. Although the spirit snake spear technique seems simple, it is actually extremely difficult to master it. It is extremely difficult to master the spirit snake spear technique. Most people can only learn the appearance throughout their lives and cannot truly understand the essence of this marksmanship. If you can learn this marksmanship within 2 or 3 years, I will teach you the advanced version of marksmanship. If not, just go down the mountain. It was obvious that only after he learned the spiritual snake spear technique, he would accept Ding Ling as his disciple and start giving strict and targeted instruction. Ding Ling understood in his heart, nodded, did not speak, just closed his eyes slightly, and all the knowledge points he had just seen and heard quickly flashed through his mind. A book also quickly condensed on the library bookshelves at a speed visible to the naked eye. There are several large characters clearly engraved on the book. Spiritual Snake Marksmanship. Boom. Spirit Snake Spear Skill Full Level. Strength plus 1.1, Agility plus 1.3. Physique plus 1.1. The essence of all kinds of spirit snake marksmanship suddenly entered the sea of consciousness. Incredible mysteries turned into instincts and engraved into the bone marrow. In just an instant, the spirit snake's marksmanship reached its full level, reaching a perfect and natural state. Sonorous. Ding Ling shook the spear in his hand. At this moment, the spear seemed to turn into a spiritual snake, scurrying in his hand, swimming in the void, with extreme flexibility. Phew. 8 stars lit up in an instant. Each one seems to be able to penetrate the world and shine brightly. After a complete set of the spirit snake spear technique, Ding Ling's momentum increased sharply, his aura continued to soar, and his entire body and height seemed to have reached new breakthroughs, become more perfect, powerful, and tough. But it's because agility and physical fitness have exceeded 10 points. This allowed Ding Ling to break through 2 shackles again. His aura of transcendence became more and more obvious. Zhao Yun stared. This. How is that possible? Tong Yuan was shocked. He was so shocked that he unconsciously pulled out a strand of his beard, and the corners of his eyes twitched twice in pain. Too strong. Zhao Xiaoyu felt incredible. This is the spirit snake spear technique. How can you learn it so easily? Zhao Xiaoyu was also taught some marksmanship by Tong Yuan. He also knows a little bit about spirit snake's marksmanship, but he only scratches the surface, because she was not from Penglai Mountain and was too dull compared to Zhao Yun. She was not accepted as a close disciple by Tong Yuan. Naturally, she was not required to learn skills before going down the mountain. So she is free to go up and down the mountain. As expected of a general. Zhao Bingxian looked full of admiration and adoration, especially when she saw the incredible expressions on the faces of Zhao Yun, Tong Yuan, and Zhao Xiaoyu. She felt even more honored. After all, she has already regarded Ding Ling as her main one. The stronger Ding Ling is and the more rare he is, the happier she will be. The sense of accomplishment and honor will naturally become stronger. This was how she felt in her heart at this moment, with an indescribable sense of satisfaction. I even thought, Tong Yuan and Zhao Yun both felt that it was unlikely that the general would learn the spirit snake marksmanship soon, but what was the result? Are you sure you haven't learned the spirit snake marksmanship before? Tong Yuan questioned. Sure. Ding Ling answered affirmatively. He was also extremely satisfied. As soon as you go up the mountain, you have to teach a marksmanship that is not much weaker than the sword technique on the battlefield. Tong Yuan is so generous. Who would believe this scene if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes? Zhao Yun took a breath, feeling a little ashamed. It took me 3 years of study to reach your level, Ding Ling. Yes. A genius like Zhao Yun has studied for 3 years. Tong Yuan couldn't help but look Ding Ling up and down. How is it possible that you learned it in less than half a quarter of an hour? And you also learned it to perfection, to the level of instinct. How is this possible? Ding Ling said no more. Tong Yuan still looked in disbelief. If Ding Ling was relatively talented, he would still be able to accept it, but Ding Ling was so talented that it defied common sense. Tong Yuan couldn't accept it, because this is not in line with his worldview and outlook on life. He mused. Pan Feng said that you can be called a child of the times, which seems to be reasonable. Of course, the premise is that you are really amazing. But judging from the spirit snake shooting skills just now, you do meet the legendary characteristics of a child of the times. His eyes seemed to contain sharp knives, as if he wanted to see through Ding Ling. I still don't believe there are geniuses like you in this world. So be it. He waved the wooden stick in his hand. I will teach you another set of Linghe spear technique. This Linghe spear technique is as difficult as Lingshi spear technique. But it is the basic version of my specialty, by Niao Chao Feng spear. Only after learning Linghe spear technique and then Lingfeng spear technique, can you have the opportunity to learn and master my by Niao Chao Feng spear. Now I am going to practice Linghe spear technique. Watch carefully. Boom. A strong energy appeared out of thin air. At this moment, a dead tree seemed to turn into a flying crane, sometimes flapping its wings and soaring into the sky, sometimes looking down at the mortal world, flying through the 9 heavens and 10 earths for 100,000 miles, sometimes rushing to the earth. The crane's beak is like a needle, as if to pierce everything, a dead tree, but it was practiced like a dream. It was as if there was really a crane in front of him dancing with the world, showing the essence of his life. Ding Ling was fascinated by it. At his current level, he could already understand some of Linghe spear technique. It was because he could understand that he realized the excellence of this spearmanship. This was another set of spearmanship that was not inferior to the swordmanship on the battlefield. Tong Yuan was much more generous than he had imagined. He originally thought that Tong Yuan would conduct various tests and put pressure on him, but there was no test. He directly started with the substantive teaching content. As expected, it must be Pan Feng's letter that played a key role. Ding Ling felt grateful to Pan Feng, thinking that it was necessary to change Pan Feng's fate of being accidentally killed by Hua Xiong. Of course, the premise is that the Three Kingdoms world will once again see a major event of the princes fighting against Dong. But with the intervention of players, the Three Kingdoms world will definitely be completely different. I just don't know if this major event will happen again as scheduled. Boom. A monstrous force turned into a whirlwind and rushed towards the bamboo and wood on one side. With a loud bang, the bamboo and wood burst instantly. Tong Yuan finished his work and stood up, looking at Ding Ling and smiling slightly. Chapter 44 Linghe Spear Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How does it feel? Not bad. Ding Ling's full-level acting skills were activated, and he said confidently, in fact, he only understood a few of the mysteries and essences of this spear technique, and realized that this spear technique was very powerful. If he really let him learn and practice, don't even think about learning it in a few months. This is still an ideal situation. If it's not ideal, 3 to 5 years is normal. Oh, Tong Yuan was surprised and doubtful. He stroked his beard and looked at Ding Ling. He wanted to say a lot of questions, but after thinking for a while, he just said. Can you demonstrate it again? Yes. Ding Ling nodded affirmatively, and then closed his eyes slightly. The same trick was used again. All kinds of things about Linghe spear technique flashed through his mind. Then, a book quickly condensed on the bookshelf of the library. Linghe spear technique. Boom. Spirit crane spear skills max level. Strength +1. Agility +1.4. Constitution +1. All the mysteries and essences of the spirit crane spear skills were understood by Ding Ling in this instant. All kinds of spear skills seemed to be engraved on Ding Ling's body as if they were instincts. Ding Ling held the spear in his hand and shook the spear. The man followed the spear. Clang clang clang. 9 spear beams were shaken out of thin air. In an instant, 9 points of starlight flashed by, each of which seemed to be able to pierce a person's skull. The energy was so great that it was awe-inspiring, and the speed was so fast that it was difficult to distinguish with the naked eye. Chiu. It seemed that the sharp cry of the spirit crane could be heard faintly. A spear danced to the end, like a spirit crane flying high, as if it was about to flap its wings for thousands of miles, overlooking the world. A spirit of domineering spirit was generated in the void. Ha! Ding Ling put away his gun and stood up, exhaled, and bowed to Tong Yuan to show that he had completed the drill. Tong Yuan was stunned. How is it possible? Zhao Yun was dumbfounded. Too amazing. Zhao Xiaoyu trembled. You are worthy of being a general. Zhao Bingxuan's almond eyes were full of admiration. It took a long while. Tong Yuan seemed to come back to his senses. He was no longer calm. He was not as serious as at the beginning. He just stared at Ding Ling, as if muttering to himself, and as if talking to Ding Ling. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I have seen all kinds of strange people and things since I grew up. But a terrifying person like you, Ding Ling, let alone seeing it, I have never even heard of it. Even the legendary son of the times can't be so frightening, that the only one who can make the master lose his composure like this, since ancient times, I am afraid that only Ding Ling can do it. Zhao Yun thought so in his heart, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Ding Ling was getting more and more strange and shocked. He really couldn't understand how Ding Ling did all this. You know, he learned the Linghe spear technique for years. Ding Ling actually learned it in a very short time. Even if the master's practice time is included, it is only about half an hour. This is too incredible. Are you sure you haven't learned the Linghe spear technique before? Tong Yuan asked a similar question again. It can be seen that his mentality is very unstable at this moment. Sure. Ding Ling still answered very affirmatively. He activated his full-level acting skills. With a natural, confident and calm face, there is no trace of guilt at all. In the final analysis, Ding Ling is cheating, and this is not his own talent at all, so every time Ding Ling is asked this question, he has an inexplicable sense of guilt. At this time, acting skills can play its concealing effect. Of course, as time goes by, Ding Ling's face becomes thicker and thicker, and he becomes more and more accustomed to cheating, and his sense of guilt is getting weaker and weaker. I believe that after a while, this feeling of guilt may completely disappear. Ha! Tong Yuan took a long breath and forcibly suppressed the surging waves in his heart. His worldview and outlook on life began to become unstable at this moment. He needed to slow down. It took a long while. He recovered and stared at Ding Ling and said, I really can't understand your genius. Because this is beyond my cognition, that he said to himself. I have been obsessed with cultivating immortals since I was a child, so when I was a teenager, I traveled around the country and learned hundreds of martial arts. Finally, I got the mysterious spirit phoenix breathing method and 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear method on Penglai Island. Relying on this inheritance, I worked hard for many years and finally became a generation of gun gods in the eyes of the world. But even if it is recorded in the inheritance, I can be regarded as having good qualifications. However, compared with you, I am really nothing. Senior is too modest. Ding Ling used his acting skills and said solemnly. In this era, there is no one else who can be called the god of guns except the senior. The senior has already reached the top of the mortal world. How can you belittle yourself? You are right. Tong Yuan was comforted by Ding Ling and couldn't help laughing. I am obsessed. He sighed. But your talent has never been recorded in the inheritance. You should know that the first person in the inheritance who was recorded in the inheritance was Qi Yu in ancient times. But even Qi Yu was not as terrible as your talent. That's why I feel that your existence is just like a dream and is incomprehensible. Qi Yu. Ding Ling was secretly surprised. Could it be that the inheritance of the god of guns came from Qi Yu? Tong Yuan seemed to see through Ding Ling's thoughts and said. This inheritance did not come from Qi Yu. But it records the execution by gun that Qi Yu knew. What are you talking about, senior? Yes. Tong Yuan stroked his beard and said. Qi Yu knew all the spear techniques of the spirit snake, spirit crane, spirit phoenix, etc. It can be said that the inheritance was born from Qi Yu. Later, it was modified and studied several times, and the name was changed, and it became the current spear technique. As for the name of the spear technique at the beginning? I don't know. So that's it. Ding Ling was shocked. I didn't expect that Tong Yuan's inheritance could be traced back to ancient times. No wonder he called himself the Penglai spear god. It turned out that it was because the inheritance came from Penglai Island. But as far as I know, isn't Qi Yu's magic weapon the Tiger Soul Blade? Who told you that Qi Yu only knew sword techniques? Tong Yuan's face showed a strange color. Qi Yu was proficient in all 18 weapons. He might be the most proficient in sword techniques, but his spear techniques were also very good. Otherwise, it would not have been passed down to this era. They talked for a while. Tong Yuan put away his strange expression and became solemn again. Let's not talk about inheritance for now. Let's continue teaching. This time I will teach you the Lingfeng spear technique. Compared with the Linghe spear technique, the Lingfeng spear technique is faster, more flexible, more swift, and naturally more difficult. It is not easy to learn. I spent a lot of effort to practice it to the perfect state. He glanced at Ding Ling. If you can learn the Lingfeng spear technique quickly this time, then. What? He didn't say anything else, but he started to dance with the dead wood. The dead wood seemed to have turned into a vivid phoenix at this moment. Boom! A random attack has great power. The most important thing is fast. It's so fast that it's like lightning. It pierces out of thin air and points out dozens of star rays. Chapter 45 10 Gun Flowers Take Shape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Unimaginable, if this shot landed on a person, how much damage would it cause? One spear stabbed, but it seemed like dozens of guns were stabbing at the same time. The force of each blow seemed to penetrate the tree. When ordinary people faced this shot, not to mention blocking it, whether they could preserve the whole body was a question. Call. After Tong Yuan finished practicing and explaining a set of marksmanship, he looked at Ding Ling. How? Can. Ding Ling nodded and closed his eyes slightly. A series of sharp and fast moves flashed through his mind. At the same time, a book was rapidly taking shape on the library bookshelf. After a moment, Lingfeng spear skill is at full level. Strength plus 0.8, agility plus 1.6, physique plus 0.8. Ding Ling completely mastered the essence of various techniques in an instant. He opened his eyes, held the spear in his hand, shook the gun body, and followed the gun, stabbing into the void, and 10 gun flowers were perfectly formed. Clang, clang, clang. A spear shot out like a violent storm, incredibly fast. See it with the naked eye, only the shadows of guns can be seen passing through the void. It's impossible to tell where the actual gun body is. Long while, Ding Ling put away his gun and stood up, holding his hand towards Tong Yuan. Senior, please give me some advice. Tong Yuan looked at the sky speechlessly and said in his heart, you have learned so much, how can I give you advice? It's still so fast. Zhao Yun felt ashamed, and the pride in his heart was shattered. He no longer had the arrogant appearance he had earlier, become more humble and steady. Just because of comparison with Ding Ling. Zhao Yun found out that he was a scumbag. How can this make him proud? Thinking again about all the instructions he gave to Ding Ling earlier, Zhao Yun couldn't help but blush and feel shy. Ding Ling is such a genius. Do you need to be afraid of this or that? It's entirely his fault. Too strong. Zhao Xiaoyu was dumbfounded, even though she had been shocked several times. This time she was still stunned and speechless, just because no one knows better than her how much suffering her second brother suffered in order to practice Lingfeng spear. It's common to dance after hearing a chicken, but it's even more common to practice stabbing crazily with your hand as a gun at night. Look at the second brother, look at Ding Ling again. How could Zhao Xiaoyu not be overwhelmed by the shock? I can't help myself. General, Zhao Bingxian looked at Ding Ling with blurred eyes, completely impressed by Ding Ling's style, magnanimity, and genius. A long while, Ding Ling was a little numb when he held his hand. Tong Yuan sighed. Your existence makes me start to doubt my life. What he said was straightforward, without any concern about his status as an old-timer. My mentality is very unstable right now. I need to take a day off. You can come with me tomorrow to learn the 100 Birds Chaofeng spear. Finished, he turned around and left quickly. It seemed like there was a terrifying monster chasing him behind him, and the description was quite embarrassing. Will behave like this. It can be seen that Tong Yuan's mentality has completely exploded now. Almost at the same time, the prompt sounds. Obtained E-level achievement medal. You received high praise from Tong Yuan. Note, without a doubt. You learned his spear skills 3 times in a row in a very short period of time. It shocked him so much that he couldn't help himself. His outlook on life is on the verge of collapse. His life's persistence and beliefs began to be rewritten at this moment. Your appearance caused Tong Yuan's thoughts and mentality to undergo tremendous changes. You have successfully made a generation of gun gods shocked and ashamed. Another E-level achievement medal. Think of the one on Pan Feng. Ding Ling guessed that this E-level medal might only be obtained from superclass masters. Or capture and defeat gangsters who can rewrite the course of history, etc. Obtained the Medal of Achievement. You have been deeply recognized by Zhao Yun. Note, Zhao Yun is grateful to you. Your performance today impressed him deeply. Zhao Yun's achievement medal does not have an E-level. It can be seen that Zhao Yun is still in the growth stage. He has not yet become a super master. Ding Ling was relieved. I already have some ideas about how to obtain E-level medals. The interior of Zhao Yun's bamboo house. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian prepared the meals. A few people sat down and chatted while eating. Zhao Yun looked at Ding Ling with admiration. You can now stab 10 gun flowers. This level is really very high. I can only stab 9.5 with all my strength. You are better than me. That he seemed very depressed. I have been practicing marksmanship for many years. It can't even last as long as you have been practicing marksmanship for half an hour. The gap is too big. He drank a glass of a fine wine, but the more wine enters the intestines, the more bitter it becomes. He knew that this was due to the bitterness in his heart and the sourness in his mouth, which made eating vegetables and drinking wine tasteless. Yes. Zhao Xiaoyu looked at Ding Ling with reverence. My second brother had a hard time learning to shoot, but to be able to reach the point where he is about to become a gunman today in more than 10 years is amazing. After all, even an average genius cannot meet the high demands of the master. The second brother can do it. He is really talented and has unparalleled qualifications, but now compare it with you. This. What is this? He did not continue, but Zhao Yun seems to be getting more miserable. After a few sips of wine, I still couldn't let go. Zhao Bingxian comforted him. When my general was in Yecheng, he was famous for his unparalleled talent. Whether it was General Zhang He, General Pan Feng, or even Jizhou Muhan Fu, they all highly praised our general and considered him to be the best person in heaven and earth. Ancient and modern times. A rare and unparalleled talent. So there is absolutely no need for you to compare with him, because my general is too outstanding. From ancient times to the present, there may not be a single person like him. These words are full of honor, pride, and belonging. She talks about my general, for fear that others won't know that she, Zhao Bingxian, is Ding Ling's. Zhao Xiaoyu glanced at Zhao Bingxian, with a gloomy look on his face, and didn't know what he was thinking. But seeing Zhao Bingxian blush and shy, Zhao Xiaoyu stopped looking at her. 2. Zhao Yun took a long breath and seemed to have seen a lot. Although I can't compare with a peerless person like you, Ding Ling. But the world is so big, I believe there will always be a place for me, Zhao Yun. That's for sure, Ding Lingshirong said. Brother Zhao, your martial arts are extraordinary and can be described as good. At first glance, you are the stuff of a peerless warrior. I believe you will be engraved in history. Many players have said this to Zhao Yun, but Zhao Yun didn't feel anything at all, but the effect of Ding Ling's words was completely different. Zhao Yun felt refreshed after hearing this, and he nodded and said with a smile. Even Brother Ding said so. It seems that I will definitely be extraordinary in the future. This is like a beggar saying to Zhao Yun, the effect of telling an emperor to Zhao Yun. The beggar said it, and Zhao Yun's heart might only be slightly disturbed. The emperor said it. Zhao Yun must be full of confidence and energetic. Chapter 46, Birds Pay Homage to the Phoenix Spear. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is no doubt, at this moment, Ding Ling's weight in Zhao Yun's heart is so heavy. So heavy that Zhao Yun can't even detect it. Ding Ling admires Zhao Yun very much. Zhao Yun highly praises and recognizes Ding Ling. After the two of them talked, they got more and more interested and talked more and more happily. Finally, they were having a good time. They couldn't help but talk about Tong Yuan's martial arts. Ding Ling was extremely shocked by Tong Yuan's martial arts that could stab out dozens of spear flowers in an instant. Zhao Yun smiled and said, Master, the old man, is a scholar. He has been studying spear techniques all his life, and has condensed hundreds of martial arts into spear techniques. He also has the assistance of the spirit phoenix breathing method. It is normal for him to reach this level. He looked at Ding Ling with envy and admiration in his eyes. But with your talent, Brother Ding, I think you will reach the level of master sooner or later. I am not sure. He sighed. Ding Ling said with a smile. Brother Zhao's talent is praised by your master repeatedly, which shows that he is extraordinary. I believe that as long as you work hard and practice diligently, you will sooner or later reach the realm of your master. I wish you good luck. Zhao Yun laughed and was very happy. If one day I really reach the realm of my master, I will definitely drink 300 cups with you. It's a deal. It's a deal. The next day, Zhao Yun brought Ding Ling and others to see Tong Yuan again. Tong Yuan still sat cross-legged on the bamboo, but this time, he was no longer the master's demeanor as last time. When he saw Ding Ling coming, his breath was messed up and his body began to be unstable. He jumped down from the bamboo and came in front of Ding Ling and others. He seemed to have been thinking for a whole night. The dark circles under his eyes were quite obvious. Seeing Ding Ling, Tong Yuan's expression began to be wrong. Zhao Yun understood. Needless to say, his master still couldn't figure out why Ding Ling was so powerful. So much so that he couldn't sleep at night. This was indeed the case. Tong Yuan was a persistent and stubborn person. He had to think through and study many things before he could let go, otherwise, he would probably not want to eat or drink. That's why, when he saw Ding Ling early this morning, he couldn't control his inner turmoil again, so that his face was obviously different. I won't talk nonsense. Tong Yuan took a deep breath and got straight to the point. If you can quickly learn my 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear today, I will be convinced by you. I won't accept you as my apprentice. Because I don't have the qualifications. Senior, Ding Ling was still waiting to say a few words. Tong Yuan stretched out his hand to stop him, sighing. You can practice a martial art to the perfect level just by demonstrating and explaining it once. How can I teach you? How can I accept you as my apprentice? Let's make friends through martial arts. Of course. He paused. The premise is that you can really learn my 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear quickly. Let's set the deadline to 1 year, no, 1 month. His expression was very tangled, obviously, when he said 1 month, he was also quite bitter, whether it is Zhao Yun or himself, it took a long time to learn the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear. If Ding Ling can learn this spear technique within a year, he can be said to be a genius among millions. 1 month. That's simply unimaginable. But thinking of Ding Ling's previous performance, he inexplicably felt a little bit of expectation and trepidation, looking forward to the emergence of a shocking and extraordinary talent in this world. Uneasy that if Ding Ling really learned it so quickly, should his title of spear god be abdicated? Yes. Senior. Ding Ling respected Tong Yuan very much. Tong Yuan looked at Ding Ling with great satisfaction and admiration. Such a genius, who was not arrogant, overbearing, or looking down on others, was very rare. You should know that he had seen so many people. He had also seen Zhao Yun and Lu Bu. That person was also a top genius, but he was too arrogant, didn't take others seriously, and was extremely arrogant. It seems that Ding Ling was just confident. This is the most correct and appropriate attitude to deal with the world. Okay. Tong Yuan nodded. He had actually been observing Ding Ling in secret. He found that Ding Ling was very steady and reasonable in his dealings with others. This was very much in line with Tong Yuan's appetite. If Ding Ling hadn't been so amazing, he would have been reluctant to accept this disciple, but it was precisely because Ding Ling was so amazing, far beyond his imagination, that he felt that he was not qualified to be Ding Ling's master. Watch it. After Tong Yuan understood everything in his heart, he was unambiguous. He immediately began to perform the spear technique of the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear. He did not shy away from Zhao Xiaoyu, Zhao Bingxian and other women. He explained and demonstrated at the same time. In Tong Yuan's opinion, even if Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian showed this superior spear technique, they would not understand it. Do you really think everyone is Zhao Zilong? Everyone is Ding Ling. Clang. Clang clang clang. Tong Yuan still held a piece of dead wood, but in his hand, the dead wood seemed to have turned into a fairy weapon and a magic spear. As the dead wood passed, the starlight streaked across the sky like a meteor, extremely dazzling. Clang clang clang. Dozens of gun flowers were pointed out in an instant, and the blooming gun flowers even condensed into magpies in the air. Finally, the gun flowers exploded. In the air, it turned into a pattern of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. The pattern flashed away, but it is as bright, colorful and gorgeous as a meteor falling into the sky. It can be said that it has reached the ultimate level of martial arts narrative. Good. Good work. Ding Ling, Zhao Xiaoyu, Zhao Bingxian and Zhao Yun couldn't help but applaud. Tong Yuan smiled slightly and looked at the dead wood in his hand. Kaz. Kaka. The dead wood turned into powder and scattered in the air. Tong Yuan sighed. I still have no way to penetrate a tree with strength without damaging the tree itself. Ding Ling was speechless, thinking, you are so powerful that you are comparable to land gods and martial arts masters. If the requirements are so high, how will other celebrities and warriors play? After Ding Ling watched the complete shooting of Bai Niao Chao foam gun, I have a more complete and clear understanding of the sharpness of this marksmanship. There is no doubt about it. This is a shooting technique that is definitely not inferior to the 36 Tiangang axe techniques. In his later period, Zhao Zilong excelled in his skills. On the basis of this shooting technique, he developed a 7-detection coiling snake shooting technique that was more suitable for him. This shows that his talent is astonishing. Of course, Zhao Zilong is still on the mountain now. Although he is ready to leave, he is preparing to stay on the mountain for a longer time because of Ding Ling's arrival, but it was because he realized his shortcomings. Comparing it to Ding Ling, his understanding is really poor. Of course, this is only what Zhao Zilong thinks. All players, including Ding Ling, know that Zhao Zilong is extraordinary and understand that his understanding is heaven-defying. However, being with Ding Ling, Zhao Zilong was deeply shocked. He would never believe the players who said that he had the best understanding. Do you understand? Could you please help the book friends here to click on investment? There are investment tips on the Qidian app and this book page. Just click, investing and sharing the profits, no need to spend money. You can also get certain starting coins, thanks. Chapter 47, Phoenix Breathing Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tong Yuan looked at Ding Ling with a very kind attitude. If you don't understand, I will explain and practice again. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian nodded instinctively, they really didn't understand, let alone remember, comprehend, and learn. Seeing this, Ding Ling asked Tong Yuan to practice again. Tong Yuan's spearmanship is very beautiful, he has sublimated martial arts to a level that can be called art. It's good to appreciate it more, besides, Ding Ling really can't just say it once. After all, yesterday's learning of the spirit snake, spirit crane, and spirit phoenix spearmanship has already shocked Tong Yuan. If this extremely difficult 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear can also be learned at a glance, mastered in a short time, and perfected to the point of becoming an instinct once mastered, how would Tong Yuan feel about that? You know, even though he knew that Ding Ling had already had an extraordinary understanding, he still believed that Ding Ling would most likely need about a month to learn the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spearmanship. I knew that he valued and affirmed the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear technique. Ding Ling asked him to demonstrate it twice before learning it, which would definitely make him feel better. As for delaying it for a month, Ding Ling hadn't thought about it, because it was unnecessary. Moreover, he still had a long way to go on his road to becoming a god of war, and he didn't want to waste too much time. Clang clang clang. Tong Yuan practiced again, still holding a piece of rotten wood. After half a while of practice, he finished. He looked at Ding Ling. Ding Ling closed his eyes slightly, the formula appeared in his sea of consciousness, and the moves flashed through his mind. A book quickly condensed on the bookshelf of the library, 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear technique. In an instant, full level of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear technique. Strength +2, agility +2.6, constitution +2, crack. Boom. The bones are ringing. The internal organs are trembling. Ding Ling's figure began to change again. His height rose a little amid the thunder. His physique became more sturdy and strong. This kind of change. Tong Yuan was dumbfounded. No way. Zhao Yun just couldn't believe it. Maybe it's because of Brother Ding's accumulation of experience that he has changed so much, Zhao Xiaoyu guessed. General. Zhao Bingxuan's admiration almost burst out of her eyes. Boom. Ding Ling clenched the spear in his hand tightly, and the spear followed him. At this moment, the whole person seemed to have turned into a whirlwind between heaven and earth. Wherever he passed, the spear power surged, and a bunch of gorgeous spear flowers were pointed out. It was more like a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds. There was nothing intact within 10 meters around, and all were broken by the spear light. 13 spear flowers were stabbed out in an instant. Each one bloomed in the air, and finally condensed into a picture of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. This is obviously the iconic pattern of the great mastery of the 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear technique. Although it had been expected before, but when he really saw this scene, Tong Yuan was still shocked, his lips began to tremble, and he didn't know what to say for a moment. Is this true? Zhao Yun's jaw seemed to fall to the ground. I have been learning this spear execution for more than 10 years and it is almost perfect, but there is still a long way to go before it becomes natural and instinctive. But now look at Brother Ding's appearance. He seems to have taken a step ahead of me and reached this state of transformation. Incredible. Zhao Xiaoyu was shocked and his scalp numbed. Although I have known about Brother Ding's talent for a long time. But at this moment, I really felt his horror and amazingness, that the difference between being able to run 100 meters in an instant and running 10,000 meters in an instant is huge. But what about Ding Ling? In their eyes, he seems to be such a person. It takes half a quarter of an hour to learn the Linghe spear technique, it also takes about half a quarter of an hour to learn the Bai Niao Chao Feng spear technique. Moreover, Tong Yuan and Zhao Yun seriously suspected that Ding Ling might have asked them to explain it again just to save their face. If not, he might have learned it after one more explanation. Thinking of this, Tong Yuan was shocked, relieved, satisfied, and couldn't help sighing and feeling ashamed. He was shocked by Ding Ling's terrifying talent. He was relieved that this world was finally going to produce a truly heaven-defying strongman. He was satisfied that he could actually communicate with such an unparalleled genius in martial arts. He sighed and felt ashamed because what he had learned in his life could not match the other party's half-minute comprehension and practice. Too evil, too perverted. Tong Yuan, such a hidden gun god, couldn't help but be amazed and sighed. This is also because I am old. If I were young, I would have met a genius like you, and I would definitely be hit to the point of being autistic and doubting my life. Ding Ling didn't say much, just kept silent. Steady, decent, not arrogant or impatient. You have a bright future. Tong Yuan praised Ding Ling. I thought that no matter how talented you were, you couldn't learn it in a month. But you. He shook his head, obviously speechless. That's enough. He sighed. I originally wanted to keep the teaching of breathing method as a bottom line. But since you are so good, I will also teach you the Spirit Phoenix breathing method today. Ding Ling greeted and thanked him. Tong Yuan waved his hand. The moment you learned the Spirit Snake Spear method, you were qualified to learn the Spirit Phoenix breathing method. But I didn't expect you to be so powerful. He paused and said. Listen carefully. He began to explain and practice the essence of the spiritual phoenix breathing technique. He still did not shy away from Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian. Obviously they don't think they can learn it. This spirit phoenix breathing technique seems to be a kind of breathing technique. In fact, it is a way to strengthen the skin, muscles and bones. This also requires some ancient methods to refine medicinal materials. Use the refined medicinal materials to make ointment for bathing, and then use breathing methods to absorb the nutrients of the ointment into the skin membrane, muscles and bones. This way, the skin, muscles and bones will become stronger day by day, until you reach a transcendent and holy state. You can naturally jump dozens of meters easily, just like a god on land. Ding Ling listened once. The new bookshelf in the library has gathered related books. Spirit Phoenix Breathing Technique. Just for a moment, Spiritual Phoenix Breathing Technique Full Level. Charm +1. All kinds of related mysteries are surging and surrounding in the sea of consciousness. It turned into an instinct and rushed into Ding Ling's limbs and bones. Ding Ling's breathing pattern completely changed at this moment. He breathed in and out, rising and falling together, like an ancient spiritual phoenix lying in the lap. This is the external manifestation of the creation of the breathing method that penetrates deep into the bone marrow and soul. Every breath, Ding Ling felt like he was getting stronger. Is this the true meaning of the spiritual phoenix breathing technique? Ding Ling came back to his senses and thought thoughtfully, it's not like some external martial arts training that makes me stronger instantly. Because the essence of this breathing method requires the coordination of medicinal materials. But because I have cultivated it to Dzogchen. In the future, you may not need to exercise at all. You can still absorb the nutrients from the medicinal materials and improve your physical fitness by eating them directly. Chapter 48 Conquering Tong Yuan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding Ling has a deep understanding of the spiritual phoenix breathing method, reached the state of complete satisfaction, because the spiritual phoenix breathing technique penetrated deeply into the bone marrow and instinct. His body naturally gained an aura of nobility. This enhances his charm. But strength, agility, etc. require the cooperation of medicinal materials. The breathing method is like this. What about the internal strength? Ding Ling was thoughtful. External skills directly extract strength, but you also need to replenish meat in time. The breathing method has unlimited potential, so you can improve yourself while taking medicinal materials. What is internal strength like? Ding Ling didn't know, because he is still hanging around in the historical plane. He didn't know when he would be able to open the passage to the martial arts plane. but even the spirit phoenix breathing technique made him feel extraordinary and felt the infinite potential of this breathing technique. It is definitely a top-notch cultivation method that surpasses the 36 Tian Gang axe technique and the 100 birds Chao Feng spear technique. This does not mean that it is exceeded in terms of difficulty, but that it is exceeded in terms of potential. 36 Tian Gang axe techniques can only improve limited strength, agility, and physical fitness. The spiritual phoenix breathing technique is different. The strength, agility, etc. it can improve are definitely far beyond the 36th Tian Gang axe technique, but the 36 Tian Gang axe techniques are essentially technical attack techniques. It is naturally different from the spiritual phoenix breathing method. Did you successfully achieve enlightenment? Tong Yuan's eyes were as wide as copper bells. Zhao Yun was speechless. It felt like I had suffered a 10,000-point critical hit. How difficult is the spirit phoenix breathing technique? It is even more mysterious and difficult to understand than the 100 birds Chao Feng spear technique. Just like a mortal learning the words of gods, gaining insight is as difficult as reaching heaven. Zhao Yun went through a lot of hardships in order to learn the spiritual phoenix breathing technique, and he took countless medicinal baths every day. If his master hadn't had enough stock, he might not have been able to learn the spiritual phoenix breathing technique by himself. But even so, after more than 10 years, my spiritual phoenix breathing technique still cannot be perfected. Still unable to enter the realm of the phantom body of the spiritual phoenix. But what about Ding Ling? I saw Ding Ling, who had an inexplicable aura of nobility and dignity on his body. Zhao Yun's breath was stuck in his throat, and he almost suffocated himself to death. Good. Ding Ling was very honest and had no intention of hiding anything. He also hoped to learn more martial arts and techniques through Tong Yuan. It would be better to have more techniques, because techniques can directly enhance his strength, agility, and physique. Although it was already confirmed that Ding Ling must have succeeded in cultivation, he really got a positive answer. Tong Yuan and Zhao Yun still couldn't help but take a breath. Everyone looked at Ding Ling as if they were looking at a monster. Even the spiritual phoenix breathing technique from ancient times can be successfully practiced so quickly. It's really too powerful. Tong Yuan felt as if he had heard a fantasy. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, even if 1,000 or 10,000 people told me this with certainty, I would definitely not believe it. Because it ruins the outlook on life. Tong Yuan's worldview and outlook on life were really shattered into pieces at this moment. He felt that his worldview and outlook on life needed to be rebuilt. And the initiator of all this is Ding Ling in front of us. Yes. Zhao Xiaoyu was also speechless. How long has it been? It's actually better than my second brother, who has been studying hard for more than 10 years. As expected of a general. Zhao Bingxian is completely obsessed with Ding Ling. Especially after seeing what Tong Yuan and others thought of Ding Ling, they felt a sincere feeling of satisfaction in their hearts. This is her general after all. Come and practice. Tong Yuan couldn't wait. Ding Ling nodded. Then the whole person seemed to have transformed into an ancient spiritual phoenix, walking on the earth, with his palms spread out like flying wings. Every step of the way and back, it was like a spiritual phoenix soaring through the 9 heavens, overlooking the earth, with such a domineering and noble look. The aura swept across all directions like an overwhelming force. The shock caused Tong Yuan and his group's pupils to dilate. It actually happened. Hey! Compared with Ding Ling, I feel like a mediocre person. Zhao Yun sighed and felt ashamed. I'm really not qualified to teach you, Ding Ling. Tong Yuan smiled bitterly. From now on, let's make friends through martial arts. I look forward to the day when you become the god of war. That it's not like calling Ding Ling the gunslinger. Instead, he directly determined that Ding Ling would be a martial god in the future. It can be seen that Tong Yuan absolutely recognized Ding Ling in his heart at this moment. Obtained the Medal of Achievement. You completely impressed Tong Yuan. Note, your genius makes even unparalleled gun gods like Tong Yuan feel ashamed and shocked. He even came up with the idea of letting you learn hundreds of martial arts in the world and become a true martial arts god. See this prompt message. Ding Ling couldn't help but his eyes lit up, and through Tong Yuan's achievement medal, he has already confirmed it. people with E-level achievement medals usually also have an ordinary medal. Pan Feng is like this. Tong Yuan is like this. If Tong Yuan is really willing to let me learn Baijia martial arts, then wouldn't I be so strong as to be unbelievable? Ding Ling looked expectant, but because of the continuous improvement, he just felt extremely hungry in his belly now. After communicating with Tong Yuan and others for a while, so he accompanied Zhao Yun to the deep mountains and forests and killed a tiger and a wild boar, drag it back and grill directly. After eating and drinking enough, Ding Ling just felt so full of energy. Indescribably transparent and comfortable. Sure enough, after rapid improvement, you need to supplement meat. And I discovered something else. After improving in the game, return to reality and improve again. It seems that the energy required will be reduced a lot. Ding Ling ate real meat, and whether it is beef in the early days or tiger meat and pork now, the quality is extremely high, far superior to the quality of bread, instant noodles, and beef jerky, and most of the food he eats is bread and instant noodles. It seems necessary to eat more. Ding Ling was thoughtful. You can bring your strength back into the game. I think I can take some energy back with me, it's just that you can't take it all back. If you replenish more energy, the energy replenished in reality may be much less. Ding Ling decided to try it later, if that's true. Then just eat some in the game. Anyway, in the game, his martial arts progress is very fast and his digestion ability is very strong. Just like this moment, Zhao Yun saw that most of the tiger meat and pork had entered Ding Ling's belly, and couldn't help but gasped. You are so delicious. It's a blessing to be able to eat. Tong Yuan looked at Ding Ling with strange eyes. When I was young, I could eat half a cow. That was the time when my strength improved the fastest. You can eat so much now, which shows that you have unlimited potential. Your strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds in the future. He is envious. Eat more. I look forward to hearing your name as Ding Ling, the god of war, resounding throughout the world one day in the future. Chapter 49, Body Movements of 100 Martial Arts. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ding Ling had a great time chatting with Tong Yuan and Zhao Yun. After Tong Yuan let go of his grudge, he began to appreciate, recognize and admire Ding Ling more and more. He pondered for a while and said, the essence of what I have learned throughout my life is concentrated in marksmanship and breathing techniques. Although I also know a lot of other miscellaneous martial arts. But I guess you are not interested in learning them. No. Ding Ling answered quickly. I'm interested. Oh. Tong Yuan looked sideways, but thinking of Ding Ling's incredible understanding and learning ability, he couldn't help but feel relieved. That's true. For Zhao Yun and I, learning these miscellaneous martial arts is a waste of time, but for you, it's different. Zhao Yun was a little embarrassed. He knew that the master said this completely to comfort himself. Anyone in the world who knows the spear prodigy Tong Yuan doesn't know that he is proficient in hundreds of martial arts, and his talent in martial arts is astonishing. But even so, faced with the even more defiant Ding Ling, a generation of gun masters can only lament that the waves behind the Yangtze River pushed the waves ahead. I know boxing, palm, sword, halberd, body, footwork, spear, sword, hammer, whip, fork, stick, shield and axe. Tong Yuan gave the rough names of more than a dozen martial arts. Ding Ling was speechless secretly, although Tong Yuan is not as proficient in all 18 weapons. But the number of weapons he is proficient in is surprisingly as many as 10. In addition, he knows all about boxing, palm and body skills. He is indeed Pinglai Tong Yuan, known as the land gun god. It is simply a walking human arsenal. One person may be able to compete with many martial arts schools. No wonder the 3 disciples who have been taught are more powerful than the other, and they can beat and suppress a large number of people at random. What do you want to learn? Tong Yuan looked at Ding Ling with bright eyes, stroked his beard and said. But it doesn't matter. I want to learn them all. Ding Ling answered decisively. Zhao Yun was speechless. Zhao Xiaoyu was surprised and then relieved. This is the wizard Ding Ling. Brother Ding quickly learned and became proficient in the spiritual phoenix breathing technique that I didn't understand. Isn't it easy to learn hundreds of miscellaneous studies? Zhao Bingxian looked like it was natural. If her generals can't learn it, then there's no need for others to learn it. All right. After Tong Yuan was silent, he nodded and agreed. He originally wanted to tell Ding Ling not to bite off more than he could chew, as he would definitely regret it for the rest of his life. But thinking about Ding Ling's incredible talent, he was too lazy to think about it, because the more he thought about it, the more his three views collapsed, although his worldview and outlook on life had completely collapsed and needed to be rebuilt, but the collapse after the collapse still made him feel extremely uncomfortable and depressed. Even a great gunsmith would feel depressed, bitter, and uncomfortable after being hit. If he told this, no one would believe him. Tong Yuan took a long breath and suppressed the boiling thoughts in his heart. At this moment, the shadow of an old friend flashed through his mind. He was thinking, if Ding Ling were introduced to this old friend, I wonder if he would doubt life like him and be so shocked that he couldn't help himself. At this moment, he actually started to look forward to it. I even made a decision in my heart, after teaching Ding Ling hundreds of martial arts, let Ding Ling go to Luoyang to learn martial arts from this old friend. Thinking like this, Tong Yuan stood up, struck a pose, and said, I've taught you everything that can be taught in marksmanship. I see that your body and palm skills are ordinary, so I'll teach you body skills first. The most important basic skill in body skills is pile skills. Demonstrate the pile skills you know. Ding Ling then got up and practiced 3 types of pile skills: low-level pile skills, horse pile skills, and dragon walking and tiger pile skills. Tong Yuan nodded secretly and praised. Dragon walking tiger stake kung fu is Pan Feng's specialty. It is the best basic stake kung fu for learning heavy weapons such as axe. You can practice this kung fu to the point where your body shape is perfect and your body can change freely. It's amazing. He made a stance. Since you have learned these 3 kinds of pile skills, I will teach you the flying crane skill. This kind of pile skill has been lost. I learned it from an unknown old man when I was a boy. He was most proficient in body skills. It's a pity that his family was in a difficult situation and he had no choice but to become a gentleman for the sake of his family's livelihood. In the end, he was severely injured due to a mistake. Before he died, he passed on this skill to me. I had lamented before that this old man's skills were probably going to be lost. Unexpectedly, I met you, Ding Ling, in my old age. He smiled and said, It seems that there is a certain destiny. God wants me to pass on this skill to you. Just be careful. This is the real flying crane kung fu. Tong Yuan is like a flying crane with its wings spread out, and his body is relaxed, as if he will fly away to the ends of the sky at any time. He clearly explained all the essentials and secrets of Zhuanggong. Next to them, Zhao Yun, Zhao Xiaoyu, and Zhao Bingxian were also listening, but they received a lot of knowledge today. After listening for a while, they felt dizzy and resentful. They put their heads aside and stopped listening. However, Zhao Yun listened very carefully. Tong Yuan explained at once and looked at Ding Ling. How do you feel? Good. Ding Ling nodded. Close your eyes slightly, call out. Streams of light passed through the sea of consciousness, and a book quickly condensed on the library bookshelf. Flying crane stance kung fu. In an instant, flying crane pile skill full level, strength plus 0.2, agility plus 0.6, constitution plus 0.2, as expected. This time, the points added to agility are particularly high. Just like the spearmanship learned before, more emphasis is placed on agility, and the higher the agility, the faster the speed of the shot. Tong Yuan obviously studied the concept of the world's martial arts. Only speed can't be broken very deeply. In terms of speed, there is probably no one in the world who can match him. Whoosh! Ding Ling took a long breath, relaxed his body, used his hands as wings, and hung in the air. The Feihe Zhuanggong was formed, naturally perfect and perfect. There was no flaw at all. Sure enough, I learned it after explaining it once. Zhao Yun was not surprised at all, but he was also hit hard. Hey, this Feihe Zhuanggong, I just understood it, and I haven't fully understood it, let alone learn it, master it, and turn it into instinct into my bones. But Ding Ling did it. Monster. Pervert. Not bad. Tong Yuan's mouth twitched twice. Fortunately, he was hit and shocked by Ding Ling before. Now seeing Ding Ling's performance, although he felt strange, he could accept it completely. Ding Ling quickly learned the Phoenix breathing method and the 100 birds paying homage to the Phoenix spear method. It was normal for him to learn the Feihe Zhuanggong so quickly. Tong Yuan comforted himself in this way, and then stretched his body and said. The advanced method of Feihe Zhuanggong is the Fian walking wall body method. As long as you understand this method, flying over the eaves and walking on the walls, climbing mountains and climbing high is easy. Tong Yuan practiced and explained at the same time. After one time, thanks to Fantasy Liangzi, for the reward of 100 starting coins. Thanks to all the book friends who support this book. Chapter 50 Chain Palm and Bagua Palm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tong Yuan couldn't help but look at Ding Ling. Ding Ling closed his eyes slightly. A book immediately appeared on the library bookshelf, flying the eaves and walking on the wall. In an instant, full level of flying on walls and walking on walls. Strength plus 0.3, agility plus 1.2. Physique plus 0.3. Strength and physique are not added much, but the agility directly exceeded 1 point. The magnitude of the enhancement was not small, causing subtle changes in Ding Ling's bones and meridians again. Whoops. Every time he breathed in and out, Ding Ling's whole body felt light and airy, as if he would fly away in the clouds at any moment. Such agility. Zhao Yun was surprised and envious. Is it true that you can succeed in just one try? This is the special skill of the gentleman in Liangshan. A secret skill that has been lost. Ding Ling can't know it after just one look, right? Tong Yuan was shocked and confused, although he had already accepted the setting of Ding Ling's peerless genius. But when I think about the hardships I endured in order to learn how to fly over the roof and walk over the wall, I still feel a little sour and bitter in my heart. Why? Tong Yuan couldn't help but feel envious. Sure enough, a peerless genius is different. With this progress, learning hundreds of martial arts is just a matter of time. Call out. Ding Ling immediately started to practice the flying over the wall and walking over the wall. He felt as if some meridians on his legs were opened. He pushed his legs slightly and exerted force. In an instant it was like a sharp arrow shooting out of the string, extremely fast. The whole person is like a maple leaf floating in the sky, and it seems that the weight can no longer be felt. Is this Qinggong Shenfa? Ding Ling was surprised. Just the basic flying over the wall and walking on the wall makes me feel like this. I can't imagine what the real Qinggong will be like. He kicked the ground hard with both feet, like a galloping horse. The desperate rabbit on the grassland flew to the side of the bamboo forest. With one kick, he stepped on the bamboo body with both feet and took 5 or 6 steps, directly. It rushed up to a height of about 6 meters on the bamboo body. At this height, Ding Ling had no choice but to fall down. A height of 6 meters, he spun in the air, released his strength, landed lightly on the ground, kicked off the ground again, and flew in front of Tong Yuan and the others like a discharged cannonball. He stood up suddenly and held his hands towards several people. Zhao Yun looked at the sky speechlessly. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingxian looked adoring. Tong Yuan took a deep breath, calmed down the turmoil in his heart, and applauded. It's so beautiful. This whole set of movements flows smoothly without any obstruction. It shows that you have thoroughly learned and mastered the flying over the wall and flying over the wall. The corners of his eyes twitched twice unconsciously, and he sighed. Although I can't understand the thinking and cultivation path of a peerless genius like you. But this does not prevent me from continuing to teach you. Come on, let's continue. He was really shocked by Ding Ling. His scalp was numb and his hair was standing on his head. This was no longer enough to describe the horror in his heart. Such a genius, he must not be allowed to teach and train alone, should recommend to other old friends. This idea is getting stronger and stronger. Tong Yuan decided to send Ding Ling away after he learned hundreds of martial arts. Such a genius, staying with him is a waste of time. He should spend more time on how to break through the world's barriers and become a true martial god. Tong Yuan thought so, and his expectations for Ding Ling couldn't help but get higher and higher. The next thing I want to teach you is the palm technique. I have learned 5 kinds of palm techniques. Among them, the ones I am best at are Lian palm and Bagua. I am not familiar with these 3 types, iron sand palm, lion walking palm, and python walking palm. Mastery, just a little bit involved. When he said this, he began to explain to Ding Ling the secrets and essence of the Lian palm, and he also practiced the moves. Ding Ling read it again. A book immediately appeared on the library bookshelf, Serial Palm. After a moment, Serial Palm full level, strength plus 0.9, agility plus 0.8, physique plus 0.9, all kinds of mysteries about the Lian palm flow among the limbs and bones, turning into an instinct that moves according to the heart, boom. Ding Ling's figure was like a pine tree, and his palms were like lightning. In just an instant, he struck out 7 or 8 palms. Each slap was so powerful that it made a series of sounds, and the crackling sound shook the whole place. You've learned it now. Zhao Yun was speechless and choked. So strong. Zhao Xiaoyu and Zhao Bingshuan's admiration almost melted into their bones, and each of them looked at Ding Ling with eyes full of obsession. Very, very good. Tong Yuan's hand stroking his beard trembled slightly. Now he is becoming more and more envious of this peerless genius. It's really outrageous. In order to learn the chain palm, his hands were swollen from practicing. I have been practicing for a whole year, but I still can't get it right. Where is Ding Ling? Can't think about it, can't compare with him, otherwise my old bones will probably burst from the blow. Tong Yuan didn't think too much, suppressed the restlessness in his heart, and began to teach and explain Bagua. After it happened again, another book successfully condensed into the library bookshelf, Bagua. In an instant, Bagua full level, strength plus 1, agility plus 0.7, physique plus 1, boom. Ding Ling's bones crackled, and he seemed to have broken some kind of shackles again. As Bagua reached its level, he not only turned Bagua into his instincts and engraved them into his bones, his body also seemed to have evolved and upgraded. It became lighter and lighter, like floating feathers. This feeling was like a new life, more like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, with an indescribable sense of ease and comfort. Ding Ling was surprised. I couldn't help but glance at the character panel. Character, Ding Ling age, 23. Race, human, faction, Jizhou Han. Fu, occupation, Tiger Guard General, 7th rank official, level, 1. Strength, root bone 1, ordinary people have 1 point, wisdom 2, strength 10.5 plus 1.1 plus 1 plus 0.8 plus 2 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.9 plus 1, 17.8. Agility 9.8 plus 1.3 plus 1.4 plus 1.6 plus 2.6 plus 0.6 plus 1.2 plus 0.8 plus 0.7, 20. Constitution 9.9 plus 1.1 plus 1 plus 0.8 plus 2 plus 0.2 plus 0.3 plus 0.9 plus 1, 17.2, Defense 2, Charm 2 plus 1, 3, Weapons. A set of general armor, a 80 Jin Fong Tian painted halberd, etc. Skills, low-level stance training, level 10, horse stance training, level 10, elementary sword skills, level 10, advanced sword skills, level 10, battlefield sword skills, level 10, elementary, intermediate, and advanced spear skills, level 10, water and fire prison dragon staff skills, level 10, elementary, intermediate, and advanced axe skills, level 10. 36 Ways of the Heavenly Gang axe skills, level 10, dragon walking tiger stance training, level 10, spirit snake spear. Skills, level 10, spirit crane spear skills, level 10, spirit phoenix spear skills, level 10, 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix spear, level 10, spirit phoenix breathing skills, level 10, flying crane pole skill, level 10, flying eaves and walking walls, level 10, chain palm, level 10, Bagua palm, level 10, basic archery, level 10, basic forging, level 10, basic carpentry, level 10, basic casting, level 10, basic smelting, level 10, acupuncture, level 10. Achievement Medal, Ordinary 26, level 3, Glory Medal, 0, War God's Path, 1, defeat more than 20 plain strongmen, 3/20. Ding Ling took a closer look, finally noticed the source of the abnormality.